everyone, it's Vanessa here from Love Riley. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be making the Alicia Bag by Khembuzz Designs. I'm absolutely speechless, which doesn't happen very often, but this could possibly be the prettiest bag that I have ever made. And it's all mine. I'm not selling it. Well, this one anyway, but oh my goodness, it is absolutely everything that I'd want in a bag. And the pattern is just, I have no words. Yeah. I did have some challenges in regards to the lock that I used. It's different to what is recommended in the pattern, so therefore it was slightly off center when I came to put my nameplate in, because I knew that my nameplate was directly in the center, and I'm like, hang on, something seems a little bit off here. And I had a look and I thought, you know what? I'd already assembled the outside of the bag, so restarting it was not an option. So I improvised and I added in these 3D type boxes here. And if I hadn't have said anything, you may have thought that it was part of the bag. Another thing that I changed was the top handle. And that was just because of the hardware that I had on hand at that moment. I actually changed the size of the handle as well to what was in the pattern, but I am absolutely amazed at how amazing this has turned out. I will be making more of these bags. I'm probably going to order, hopefully get acrylic templates made, because it is, yeah, I may have had a little tear when I finished it and that has never happened before. So I've used croc vinyl for my outside. I used waterproof canvas, custom printed on the inside, all gold hardware, as you can see. I used the chain strap that I got from Temu that I showed in my mail opening video. We have hidden side connectors here, and they were straightforward. I had no issues with those at all, but okay. And then we've got a back zipper pocket here, which is deep enough to hold little bits and pieces. And the front, we have this closure, which I also got from Temu. And then you open it up, and it is a drop-in lining. So this is the third drop-in lining that I've ever made. But look at all this gloriousness. It's everything that I want in a bag. It's pink, it's black, it's gold. It's perfect, in my opinion. So here we have a slip pocket. We have a divider zipper pocket. We have a back zipper pocket. Now, in the video, I constructed the back zipper pocket different to what was written in the pattern. It's just the way that I like to do it. But that left me with a very short pocket at the back. But I fixed it, and I show you in the video how I fixed it, and you cannot even tell what was done to it. I love this zipper pull. It says made with love and swear words. There were swear words, but that was to myself. And there is a lot of room here, especially for what I carry. It is a very, very good size bag, and the shape of it and the way that the decaville is placed in the top, and as it sits, it will obviously hold its shape and form its shape. But I just love it. I just love it. I'm so very thankful that I was given permission for the pattern designer to do the video and share that with you guys. If you want to make this, I highly suggest you do. If you wanted to bling it up more, you could obviously put some rivets or Chicago screws on your flap here, but it really doesn't need it. It is very, very secure. So I've used rivet bag feet, and that's the base of the bag. I always forget to show the base for some reason. And this chain strap is long enough to wear as a crossbody, so I don't have to add another crossbody strap. What I would do, if your customers want to order one, what I would do would be check to see, I'm pretty sure that your 1-inch swivel hooks would fit on the D-ring connectors. And I would, if I was making this for a customer, I would do a 1-inch strap, because it is a decent sized bag, like it's not tiny. When I do this bag again, I really don't think there is anything at all that I would change. I don't think there's anything that I need to change. I think it's absolutely amazing. I mean, I will have to alter the pattern just for the placement of this lock, because it is different to what was used in the pattern, but wow. So I hope you enjoy the video. Like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. And this bag's all mine. I can't wait to take it out and test it. Okay, so I'll start with my pattern pieces. The first that I have here is piece E, which is my flat panel. I've got 2 of those, and this is croc vinyl that I got from Dreamy Bag Hardware. So 2 of those out of my exterior. They have not been interfaced with anything. The next piece I have here is pattern piece A1, and it's my front main panel. I've got one of these exterior, and I've interfaced it with Decaville Heavy as per the pattern instructions, and I've just marked my placement for my male snap. So one of those in my exterior. So this here is piece A. It's my back main panel. I've got one cut out of my exterior, Decaville Heavy, and I've cut out this box as per the pattern. So one of those. This here is piece P, and it's my slip pocket trim. And I haven't interfaced these with anything, and I've just marked my line down the center. So one of those. Piece Q is my inner zipper pocket overlay, not interfaced with anything, and I've just applied double-sided tape to the outside. So one of those. This is piece O, and it's the divider pocket top. There's 2 of these out of my exterior. They are not interfaced with anything at all. So I've got 2 of those. I've got 2 piece N, and these are my main lining top, and they're not interfaced at all. So 2 of those in my exterior. This here is my handle piece connector. I've got 1 of these, and I've made all the markings as per the pattern on where everything goes. So I've marked that already. So 1 of those. I have my base panel, 1 of those exterior, and I've marked the placement for my purse feet. So 1 of those. These are my side panels. I've got 2 of these in my exterior, Decaville Heavy, and as per the pattern, they give you specific measurements of where to place your Decaville. So I've done that according to the pattern. 2 of those. And these are my D-ring connectors, 2 exterior. I've not interfaced those with anything either. So they're all my external pieces, and now these are all my lining. So this one here is my inner zipper pocket. So 1 of those, and this is just waterproof canvas. This is my back zipper pocket, 1 of those. I've not interfaced these with anything. This is my slip pocket, 1 of these, not interfaced. And these are my main lining pieces. This is custom waterproof canvas that I had made or printed. I'll leave all the details for everything that I got below. So I have my zipper pocket facing, and I've gone ahead and I've just marked my zipper pocket placement as per my zipper pocket square as per the pattern piece. So 1 of those. This here is my divider pocket lining. I've got 1 of those, not interfaced with anything. This is my divider pocket piece, 1 of these, again, not interfaced with anything. I have my 2 main lining pieces. as per the pattern and not interface with anything. So 2 of those. So the last piece I have is my flap interfacing, and it gives you specific measurements in the pattern of where to create your fold lines. So I've got one of these out of Decaville Heavy, and I'm just going to keep that folded up as per the pattern. I have zipper tape. I'm using this ombre tape that I got from Temu, and I showed this more in my mail opening video, so I'm going to be using that. I've got 3 zipper pulls. I've got 2 main zipper pulls. These are just square zipper pulls, and this one is going to be for my zipper pocket. These I got from Alicia Bag Hardware, and they say made with love and swear words. Let's hope that I'm not projecting that I'm going to be using swear words when I'm making this bag. So I've got one of those, 2 main zipper pulls, and these are just number 5 zippers. I did get out some zipper chain as well that I got from the Temu haul that I did. I'm just going to see what this looks like. I thought that this would be the perfect bag to try this on, so I can make a crossbody strap if I need to. I've got 4 D-rings, 2 for my handle connector and then 2 for my strap. I did get out a slider for a crossbody strap. Not sure why, because I'm going to be using this, but if not, I can make a crossbody strap, so that's why I've got that. I'm using rivet bag feet. I've got Chicago screws. I've got my custom nameplate. I have a bag lock. This I got from Temu quite a while ago, but when they sent it to me, they actually sent it to me without the screws for the back part, but I had extra screws that I had received when I get my zipper ends, so I was able to use 2 of those. So this will be the first time that I'm ever using this bag lock, so we'll see how that goes. And a washer for that, and I need to get a washer for my name tag, and that's it for all the hardware pieces. So let's get on and start the bag. Okay, so the first pieces that we want to get, our back zipper pocket, we want our zipper pocket facing, and we want piece A, which is our back main panel, and this is the one that has the cutout. So it gives you a measurement on how far down to place your overlay. So go ahead and mark that. You want to get your zipper pocket facing, and you can mark the centers on that, or you can just fold it to create a crease, which is what I'm going to do. And you want to place that in the middle on that line using the measurement that it gives you in the pattern. And this waterproof canvas is a little bit slippery on this vinyl, so I'm just going to go ahead and clip it into, clip it into place using hemming clips. I could just hold it, but I don't want it to slip any. And I'm just using a joining stitch length of 3.5. So this is what it looks like at the back. So we're well and truly within that box. And it's up to you whether or not you want to stitch the sides on your zipper boxes. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And what I'm going to do is just mark this to show you. I'm going to mark in 1/2 inch from the zipper edge, from that stitch line. And that's where I'm going to cut. And just use a wipe to wipe all this off before I turn it, just so that it... And the pen that I'm using, I got these from Officeworks because they just wipe off. You can get them from your local newsagent. And it is a Uniball Sino in white. I have them in all different colours, but they work great because they just wipe off. But I wouldn't try to leave it overnight with the marks on. Okay, so now I'm just going to fold it in half, and I'm going to cut in the center. And then what I'm going to do is just trim down to that line that I made. Okay, so I've just cut along the center up to those marks that I made earlier. And then with a sharp pair of scissors, what I'm going to do is cut from that line up to, but not through, the stitches that we made earlier. So it's going to create a little V. And I found the longer that you make this little flap, the easier it is to get caught when we go to sew up the back of the zipper panel. And it's going to stop your zipper from potentially coming through. So I've just done that on both sides. I'm just finger creasing this, and I'm going to push this to the back. And when you, from this side, when you push your zipper facing to the back, you don't want to see any of the zipper facing fabric or waterproof canvas that we've used. So just roll it in your fingers just to get it as far down as you can, so you're not going to see it from the other side. And what I'm going to do is use some masking tape. Now, if you were using cotton for this, you could go ahead and iron this as flat as possible. But I'm just going to use masking tape just to hold it there. And the good thing is about using masking tape, if it's not correct, you can just come in, resituate it. So that's now what it looks like from the front. If you can see any of your lining, you can come in and, as I said earlier, take off this and pull it down further until you're happy with where it is. If you're using fabric that likes double-sided tape, you can go ahead and use double-sided tape, but I'm happy with that. Okay, so we can set that to the side for now. Now you want to get your back zipper pocket, and you want the shorter edge at the top. You want to get your zipper tape and line that up at the top, and we've got right sides up on our zipper pocket and right sides up on our zipper tape. And I'm just going to clip this into place, and then I'm going to base stitch that down. Now the reason I have cut my zipper tape extra long, and that is just so that I can keep my zipper pull out of the way. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to base this on, and I'm just basting this on at a quarter of an inch, at an 1/8 of an inch. So now what we want to do is we want to match up this bottom edge with this top. So you're just going to fold it up like this and base that into place. So then this is what we have. I'm going to go ahead and install my zipper pull, and I like my zipper pulls closing to the left. So I'm just going to go and put that on. I should have left the longer edge on the right, but oh well. Okay, so I've put that on, and what you then want to do is run a strip of double-sided tape along both edges, and this is just an 1/8 inch wide double-sided tape. Now, I have quickly read through the instructions, and the way that this is put into the back panel is different to the way that I like to do it. So what I'm going to actually do is come in and cut this in half. So then this is what I have. I'm just going to run another strip of double-sided tape under this seam here so that I can fold it down, and it's going to stay down out of the way. Okay, so that'll hold down that side when we try to sew it into place. Just going to move my zipper pull out of the way, and this is why I keep my zipper tape longer. Okay, so then you want to get your back panel, and you're going to line all of this up in the center. I'm going to remove the bottom of my double-sided tape, and you want to place that exactly where you want it to line up in the center, and I'm going to stick that down. Once you're happy with the placement, then I'm going to come along, fold this back, take off the double-sided tape from the top, and then line this one up. So this is what it looks like on the back. So my lining, zipper lining, is matching up with the sides of that facing. And when you're happy with everything is in the center and where you want it to be, you can go ahead and top stitch. Now, the way that this zipper is constructed in the pattern, you would sew the bottom. If these two linings were still together, you would sew along there, flip them up out of the way, and then do a box around. But this is the way that I like to do it, and I'm doing it at 1/8 of an inch from the edge. I'm going to be on a top stitch length of 4.5. Because my thread matches my exterior, I'm not going to worry about pulling the threads through. I'm just going to sew along. And then down the side. And then back up this side. So once I get to here, before I go ahead and stitch across, I'm just going to lift up my foot and bring my zipper pull in. I apologise, my phone for some reason stopped recording. So all I did was I sewed around, I pulled my zipper pull in and closed up the box. So then this is what it looks like on the back. So in my case, I have two pieces that are separated. You may have, if you followed the pattern, then yours will still be joined and you won't have to worry about this. So I'm just going to remove all my masking tape because I don't need that on there anymore. Then all I want to do is trim my zipper tape that I don't need that long anymore. So I've just folded the top down. I'm going to turn it over, lift this up, and I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to sew my zipper closed on both sides and the bottom. And what I'm doing is I'm coming in as close to that little flap, that little V that we cut earlier. I'm going to come all the way in and try and catch that. I'm going to back stitch over it And I'll show you a close-up of that. I'm just going to go ahead and trim these so they're even. So what I've done is I've come in and I've increased my seam allowance to catch that V, and that's going to stop that little tab from pulling back through. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on the other side. And then I can go ahead and sew up the bottom. And now, this is my back panel. I have a completed zipper pocket. Not too bad. Looks great. Really happy with that zipper tape. So we can set that aside and move on. So you want your base piece and A1 front. So I'm going to go ahead and punch all the holes in my bag feet. And I think what I'm going to do is, these posts are quite a bit long. So what I'm going to do is just get an offcut of waterproof canvas. So I'm just going to use some of these, and it'll just help bulk it up a bit. So I'm just going to punch a hole in those. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to get my waterproof canvas, put my post through the waterproof canvas, and then put it through my exterior and put on my bag feet. You can use offcuts of anything. Foam would be good as well, but I have so much waterproof canvas that I may as well use it. And this is what I keep it for. These rivet bag feet I got from Seams Legit back when she was selling hardware. If I can find where else to get them, I'll leave a link for them below. Make sure that's in there and not going to move, and then squish it down, just like so, on all of them. And you can feel it click. And these are not fun to remove if you accidentally mess one up. And then I can come in and trim off the excess, because you don't need it to be that big. And I will cover these up with double-sided tape as well. And then they're not going to push through, rub through to my lining. And then that's our base. And while I'm here, I'll go ahead and find the center. Because we'll need that for later. We can move that to the side. Okay, so this is my front piece. I've never installed these bag locks before. I've never used a bag lock before, so let's see how we go. Okay, so you want to go ahead and see where your prongs need to go through on your washer. 3 from one end and 2 from another. So what I've done is I've just lined my halfway marker, my halfway of my washer, with the placement that's given in the pattern that we went ahead and marked earlier. I want to mark 3 in from one edge and 2 in from another. And I know that that's where part is going to go. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and cut that out. Okay, So my blade's facing up to the roof, and I'm just going to make those marks right there. And I can come into the front and install all this. Just like so. I do have an offcut here of Decaville Heavy, and I'm just going to mark the prong placement for that so I can back my washer. Now, there is Decaville Heavy already on this, so I technically don't need to do it, but I like to be safe. Put that on. Put my washer on. And I'm going to push my prongs outwards. Just like so. You want to make sure that it's as flat as possible. And then I'm going to come in and cover this up with a couple of layers of double-sided tape. And then that is that. And I'm going to find the center top and the center bottom. Okay, you want to get your back panel, your front panel, and your base, and you want to match these up. So this is my back panel, and I'm just matching the center notches that I cut out earlier, and I'm going to clip all this into place. Okay, so right sides together, and we're going to sew that into place. Then we're going to open it up. My seam allowance is towards the base, and we're going to top stitch on the base. This is quite thick because of the vinyl that I am using. You could do 2 rows of top stitching if you wanted. Then you want to get your main panel and repeat. So I'm just going to sew that on at my seam allowance. So I'm just going to come in and sew this together with the seam allowance given in the pattern. And then I can open that and push my seam allowance to the base and top stitch. My 2 favourite things, gold and pink. Oh, this is going to look amazing. Okay, we're going to put that to the side for now. And then we want our handle panel. I'm back. So we're moving on to the flap and we're doing the handle. Now in the pattern, the hardware that we use is 3/4 of an inch. I don't have the same connectors that are used to put the handle on in 3/4 inch. So rather than going and buying them and then having to wait for them to arrive to finish the video, I'm just going to use what I have here. I have these bag connectors that I got from A Passion for Vinyl quite some time ago. They're screw-in ones, but these are for 1 inch hardware. So I went backwards and forwards for quite some time on how best to do the handle, but this is what I've done. I've made my handle to fit my 1-inch hardware, and I've cut it. I can tell you because these are my measurements. 4 inches wide by 13. I've put a 1-inch piece of Decaville white, and I've glued that down in the center. I'm going to fold my handle, my sides in, matching them up, fold it over, top stitch it, and then we're going to go to the next step. So because this is being folded over again, I'm going to fold 1/2 to be just under my center line, as I do with my crossbody straps. I'm going to fold the other half to be just above that line, which will give me this gap in the middle and will allow me to fold this over to secure this evenly. I'm going to go ahead and clip this into place, top stitch it, and then I'll move on to putting the connectors onto the flap. If you are using thin material for your handle, you may actually want to use Decaville Heavy for this part. On the pattern piece, it gives you marks on where you would put your connector. So all I did was I lined up the washer that came with the connectors, and I marked the center of the washer placement. That's where I'm going to punch my holes. And hopefully that's correct. So I'm going to need a magnet because I'm guaranteed to lose these screws, and 2 washers. So on the back, I'm going to put my piece of Decaville Light and my washer, and then the screws. I can see that they're poked through this way, so then I can come in, I felt that click. That certainly feels like it's on. Yep, it is, definitely. It's probably a little bit too much for a strap, but we're a little bit extra over here anyway. And you just want to make sure that that is as secure as it can be, and they're not going to go anywhere. And then I will add double-sided tape over the top, but they're relatively easy to install. And I might add 2 pieces. Next side. So again, I'm just matching up the holes in the Decaville Light, the holes that I punched earlier according to the pattern. Put our washer there, our screws, and then you can come through from the front, make sure that the posts are through, get my connector, and then I'm just trying to look as to where these line up, sit it over the top and push it on, then come in And yes, that is on. I can double-sided tape. Then this is what I have. Then what I'm going to do is feed in one side of my handle. This is going to look amazing. And then that side will go in, and that'll be my handle of my bag. Now, I do want to measure how far up I've got to put my rivets in, my Chicago screws. So I don't want any less than that. So if I just mark this just there. This handle is not going to go anywhere because it is so secure. Okay, so that is 3 inches. So I'm going to mark 3 inches up on this side as well. And I'm going to make sure that I've got enough handle. If not, I'll have to redo it. I hope I've got enough. Because I need enough room to be able to put the Chicago screw in. Thank you for your service. Oh, that one just broke. This is quite thick. So I'm glad I'm using Chicago screws. And then through this side up to that mark. I just want to make sure that it's not going to pull and I've got enough room on either side. That's going to be perfect. I felt like that was going to clip off and smack me in the face. So that is what my handle is going to look like. So there's enough room for it to lay the way it wants, and it's not pulling even when it is up flat. I love it. I had 1 inch hardware. I mean, it is a little bit big, but I'm working with what I've got. I really didn't want to have to just buy extra hardware for the sake of it. So what I'm going to do is use my rivet spacing tool that I got from Seams Legit, and I'm going to work out the spacing for where I'm going to put my Chicago screw. So from the folded edge, I'm going to put it right there at 1 inch. So I'm going to mark it there on both sides. And that's going to be perfect. I'm going to use my hand punch for this. I'm going to hold these together and punch that right there. There is quite a lot of layers I'm going through, and I really hope that the Chicago screws that I have are big enough to fit. And then I can do the same on this side. Okay. Through there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my, it's probably hard to see, but I'm just using my stiletto just to push the vinyl around the Chicago screw so that I can see the post. Like that. And then on this side, and put in the back of the screw. Push that down as well. So you've got as much room to work as possible, and then line the two up and you'll feel it click. And I need my non-slip mat, and this helps the two sides from turning in the same direction. And you're going to secure that. And that's perfect. And you want it as tight as you can get it. And that's done, that side. And I can just come in with a wipe and get rid of the mark that I made earlier. Now, if you wanted this to be a finished edge, you actually can come in and edge coat the inside of this, but it's perfect just the way it is. So I'm just going to repeat the same steps. I just love Chicago screws, I really do. Okay, and that's my handle. That is just a little bit fancy, I think, or a lot fancy, but this. I have been looking for a bag like this, a bag design like this, for years and years and years. Now, you also want to get the other flap piece that does not have, obviously, the handle attached to it. There's a marking that needs to be along this edge here. And what we're going to do is we're going to trim that off as per the pattern. So trim it off at that marking. What I am going to do, just so it's easy for me when sewing it, is I'm just going to go ahead and mark out the seam allowance. Now, pay attention because this does change compared to the rest of the bag. Do you know what? For ease of sewing, because we are going to put these two together and sew it, so I think for the ease of doing this part, I'm actually going to take out my Chicago screws, which is fantastic that I can do this because I can add this in at the last step. So I'm just going to take these off. And I can attach these, as I said, in the last step, because we're going to sew these together. And obviously, because I've used bigger hardware, there is a bigger, there is more bulk. So there we go. You're going to join these right sides together and clip these all in place. Thanks for your service. All my clips are going to break at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and sew this at the seam allowance. Remember, this is different to the other bit. Now what I am going to do is I'm actually going to come in and do a second row of, after I've thrown my scissors on the floor, I'm going to come back in and I'm going to do a second row of stitching just beside the first one that I made, just because we are turning this obviously, so I don't want my stitches to pull. Now what you want to do is, if you've got pinking shears, you want to go ahead and you want to trim this down, but especially your curves. If not, you can just do notches, little V's, but you obviously don't want to cut in to the stitches that we just sewed. We want to go ahead and turn that right sides out. You want to push that out as best as you can. This is just a flute cleaner that I got from my local music shop. You want to get your Decaville heavy piece. And we're going to insert this into the flap. It does give you measurements on your Decaville piece of where to make those folds. I did mine when I was cutting it and had it sitting there folded in place until I got to sew it so that it would hopefully remain in place. And you want to push this all the way to the bottom. And those lines, those fold marks, are basically going to give your bag the folds that it needs. Once you're happy that that's exactly where it needs to be, what you then want to do is add a strip of double-sided tape along this top edge, because this is going to get folded down and top stitched. I'm going to use 1/4 inch double-sided tape right along this edge here. And then this gets folded down. And you want to fold this down just like so, and clip into place, because we are going to top stitch this. If I was sewing on a domestic sewing machine, I would not be using these materials. No, because this is very thick. What I'm also going to do is just come in, undo that if I need to, make sure all my edges are poked out, and I'm going to clip those in place to hold so I can top stitch. And you can just roll the seams out to make it easier. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and top stitch. We do not top stitch this straight edge that we folded down. We're only going to do the sides, the bottom, and back up this side. Wow. Can I just say how much I love my industrial machine? Because that top stitching is perfect. Well, perfect for me. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. That's what I have. I love it. Yes, okay. This is my main panel. We're working on the edge that's got the zipper. There's a measurement given in the pattern for how far down you want to mark your line. Just going to measure. Get my center of my flap, and you want to match up the center points. And you want to put your flap on that line in the center, just like so. And then we're going to end up top stitching this. But just go ahead, use your ruler, and make sure that it's completely in the center. Go over just a teeny tiny little bit. So you want to make sure that you've got the same distance on both sides. So the clips that I got from Temu, the long clips, are perfect for this. Okay, I just want to remove this now that it's in the center. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to top stitch this. Now you want to make sure that your flap is the right way up. So make sure that it's pointing down. And so the edge of your flap gets put along the top edge of your zipper. We're just going to top stitch that at 1/8 of an inch. And then you're going to come back in and top stitch again another row, 3/8 of an inch from that top stitch line that we just did. And that's it. So then this is what it's going to be like. Oh. I'm already obsessed with this and I haven't even finished it. I want to put my name tag in. So I might go ahead and do it 1.5 inches from the bottom. Okay, so I'm just doing it 1.5 inches up from the bottom. See, I kind of feel that that's... I don't know, I kind of feel like it's not in the center, but it is. Back that with Decaville White. And I'm going to cover that with double-sided tape. I do say slightly off center, or so it seems. I should have just moved that across a tiny bit. It's okay, it's for me, it's for me. Okay, now we're moving on to our side connector panels. Do you know what? I'm not going to be happy if that's off center. So I'm going to remove it. And it could have been in the center, and it could be that my lock is not. But I placed it where it said. So what I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to measure, is the center. The problem I have is that that's off center. That seems to not be in the center. Hi everyone, I'm back. Okay, I've got to fix this bag. So what I've worked out is my center on the pattern was off because I'm not using the same lock that was used in the pattern. So when I originally installed the prong part of my lock, it was not in the center, it was slightly off. So that meant that when I did put my nameplate in the center, that was also off. I don't want to remake it. I'm not going to remake it. So I had to come up with a solution. So what I've done is I've taken my lock and I've measured exactly where it needs to be. And I have made these squares, obviously out of the same vinyl. And I'm going to top stitch these onto the bag and install my nameplate obviously through the bottom one, and then the lock through this top one. It's going to cover up the holes that I made previously, and it's hopefully going to look like it's part of the design of the bag. So that's what I've done. If you have messed this part up, then don't think that all is lost. You can fix it. So this is the template piece for the top one. I just measured out exactly what I wanted the final square to be, and I added 1/2 inch to each side, and I folded that in so that I've got a finished edge. You could leave it raw if you wanted to, but I thought that it would look nice with a finished edge. So that's what I've done for both pieces. So now all I have to do is cut my holes here and then top stitch it on. So I think what I'll do is I'll cut the holes, and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue as well here, just to hopefully hold it in place so I can top stitch it and it's not going to move. And I just drew a rough outline of where it needs to go. You don't want to use too much though, because you don't want it to squeeze out the sides. I'll do the top one as well, because what I also need to do is come back in and remove these marks. Okay. This glue is quite quick to set or to dry. And then before it dries, I can come in and remove this. So what I'll do is I'll top stitch these two pieces on, and then I'm going to have to cut the slits for the back part, and then we can install those. And I'm already on a top stitch length, so that's good. So what I'll do is I'll print out another pattern piece and I'll put the marking in the center. So that way this shouldn't happen again. I think that looks good. So then I can come in, put these holes through the back. You could have also done this all at once. I just want to make sure to get this as flat as I possibly can. That's it. Oh, I like that. Yes. And now they're both in the center. Much better. I really like that. Go me. I can use my original pieces of Decaville. And I think with this one this time I'm going to fold these in. See if they sit better that way. Yes. That's what that looks like. So it looks like it's part of the bag. Love it. And I can just cover this with, I'll use masking tape because I'm almost out of my double-sided tape. Probably a little bit excessive, but I don't want it to pull through, especially this top one. And then that is what we have. Yes, I'm happy with that. Now we can move on. Next we want to prepare the exterior side panel and side connector panels. Okay, so we want our side connectors and our external, our side panels. You want to put a line down the center and you want a piece of double-sided tape and we're going to fold those in to meet each other in the center. We don't need to leave a gap in the center for these. I've got the pattern off to the side on my iPad and for some reason it just keeps turning off. Could also be because it's on charge. I don't see why, but anyway. There are some markings that we need to mark out. Oh, so basically it's going to be where I've put my Decaville. So go ahead and put those marks. So on our interfacing piece, there's a mark here that we need. Okay, so you want to go ahead and line this piece up and draw that line on both pieces, and that is where we're going to cut the hole for the connector, and then just underneath is where our rivet hole will be. So just carefully cut those. Now, you're not going to see these pieces, but I'm just going to top stitch these so that they stay closed while I'm trying to do this. Okay, so you want to insert this through. So when you put it through, you want your seam facing up. Okay, so now that that's through, I'm then going to come in and I'm just going to sew along the top here. And I'm just going to do it as close to the cut that we made. Then what I'm going to do is put my D-ring on, just like so. And then this top edge here, we're going to feed through this hole that we made before. And it is meant to be tight. So if you need to use pliers or something to pull it through. And then you want to pull it as tight as you can. And then this is what we have. And then you can do a row of stitching just underneath, and then secure it with a Chicago screw or a rivet, which I'm going to do a Chicago screw. I'm just going to do 1/8 of an inch. But what I want to do is add a piece of vinyl here, and just an offcut, just to protect my vinyl from getting messed up from my foot. And you're going to go ahead and repeat that for the other side. And then I'll use my rivet spacing template to mark out my rivet placement. There is a mark on the pattern piece for this rivet. So I'm just going to punch my hole through there. You want to make sure that wherever you're placing it, it's going to catch these two parts here. So if you need to move it up, you can do that. So you can see I got it on both sides. And then I can push my Chicago screw through. I'm just trying to push the vinyl down around it so that I can see the post, and the post is free from any vinyl, so that I can be sure that the screw is going to go in and not be caught on anything. I am having a little bit of a problem with my Chicago screw. And the reason that this is happening is because I'm using a medium size for this. And you can see that it's not flat. You can see that gap there. So you've got two choices. You can either beef it up with Decaville Light or waterproof canvas or anything else that you have scraps of, or you can change it to be a small size. I think I'm just going to go ahead and just add a piece of waterproof canvas in there. Actually, I'm just going to use some offcuts of Decaville because I'm not sure where I've put my waterproof canvas. Now it doesn't want to come out. Seriously? There we go. Just going to push my screw through there. Ah, that feels better already. And it looks better already. So that's all it needed. Was just that little bit extra. And then that's in there and it's not going anywhere. And there's no gap. So now it's completely flush. So now we can just repeat it on this side. Okay, I'm going to find the center, top and bottom of my side pieces. And we want our bag. And you want to take one of the sides and we're going to match it up with the side of our base. And we're going to clip this into place. We're going to stitch this side on. It does say here that a zipper foot. You might need a zipper foot to get as close to the interfacing as possible. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to start at the 1/2 inch. So I'm not going to sew it all the way because this does get hooked up on the side. So and I'm going to stop where that other 1/2 inch mark is. Then what we can do is, now that that's sewn on, is we can match up the sides. So bring one of your sides up and we're going to match these up and we're going to sew this. And this seam allowance is different to the one that we just sewed. And what I might do is just clip here. So I'm just going to clip, not all the way, just there, so I can sew all the way down. And that's out of the way. That's what I'll do. And I am going to do 2 rows of stitching on this bit as well. See how that looks. Make sure that I've got, yes, so that there's no holes in the bottom, which there's not. And I am going to do a 2nd row of stitching. I'm going to start the 2nd row of stitching from this line that we've marked at the top. And I'm just right next to the stitches that I just sewed. Because this is a drop-in lining bag. So this fold down line is obviously where we're going to drop our lining into. So I want that to be as bulk free as possible. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just come in and I'm just going to trim this here on either side because that will help when I've got to fold down the top edge. So I've just clipped just along that mark. Obviously have not clipped the stitches that I just made, but it's just going to help offset that seam. I'm going to come match this side up. And this is going to get a little bit awkward because that we do have the flap, but just fold it out of your way. Just going to make my mark, trim that there. So the seams are fighting you because you've got that flap in there that wants to pop back up. Staples might even help if you're having trouble fighting against itself. I'm going to have to sew this one from the bottom up. And you obviously want to keep the flap out of the way because you don't want to sew through that. And you're going to have to manipulate this bit. Make sure that flap's out of the way. Okay, and then I can look in the bag and make sure that I've got no puckers or anything like that. This looks good on the bottom and it's caught there. Okay, I'm going to try and sew it like this, see what happens. Okay, so I've just done that second row and I've come back in the bottom and tried to fix the pucker that I had. Let's see if that's better. Yes, it is. I'm just trying to work out now how to not do that for the seam. I am going to come in and trim these. And we're learning what not to do together. Or a different method of doing it. Let's just say that. But it looks absolutely fine on the inside. I'm so excited for this. Oh, it's like 1 AM and I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna finish this. I hope. That's the plan. So I'm going to match this side. This time I might sew the whole way across the bottom and see if that makes a difference. So before I started and stopped where that 1/2 inch mark was, I'm going to try it the whole way this time and see if that makes a difference. So let's hope I don't regret that. But we'll find out soon enough. Sorry if you can't see, but so that's what we have. Match it up at the top. I think this is going to be a little bit easier to sew. I'll wait until I sew it and then we'll know what to do and what not to do. Before I do my second row of stitching, I'll look on the inside and see how that looks. Yep, that looks totally fine. So we'll do this side. And again, make sure to try and keep the flap out of the way. Let's go. Hold your breath. Cross everything. So I just stopped where that 1/4 inch is that we sewed for the bottom. I just stopped. I didn't go any further than that line. We'll see what that looks like. Yes. Good, good, good. Okay, I'll do my second row. And I'm going to trim these. Okay, now we can turn this right sides out because it's essentially done. I'm scared. Probably should have used my hairdryer to heat this up. Would have been easier to turn it, but we do it the Vanessa way, which is never the easy way. Oh my goodness, look at this. Yeah, okay. Wow. It's not even finished, but this is my bag now. And then obviously this is going to get folded down to create our top. Oh, wow. I want it to be finished already. The seams look great. If you didn't have a clip lock and you wanted to use a magnet, I would use one on either side of the flap to close it. Maybe even I was thinking one in the center as well, but that would be 3. But it would be very secure. All right, we'll see what I think at the end. Oh my goodness. I just want to be done, but I can't. We've got to do the lining. What I might do though while I wait is I'm just going to pop some glue just on these seams, these bits that I trimmed. I'm just going to push those back and glue those, and they can just sit and dry while I do the lining. I think it's just going to make it easier. I mean, you could use double-sided tape, but I do love glue. That can just sit there. Oh, and that's obviously the back. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, you want one of your main linings and your lining top. You're going to find the center. The seam allowances for this pattern, there are quite a few different ones, so make sure you're paying attention to to the pattern to know what seam allowance you're doing. We're going to sew that on. Again, pay attention to seam allowances. Then we're going to flip this up and we're going to push the seam towards the lining. So your seam is going to go down towards the lining, just like so. And we're going to top stitch. And you're going to top stitch on the lining. And we're going to do that for both pieces. So that's what we have. And you want to find your center top because we'll need that for later. And you want to repeat that for the other piece. So and then seam down towards the lining and top stitch. Next you want your zipper pocket overlay, and I'm going to put a tag under it. And you can use some chalk just to mark the center. Now there is a measurement given in the pattern of how far down we're placing our overlay. You want to find the center of this, obviously don't clip it. And I have just added double-sided tape. So I'm just going to remove the top. And then once you're happy that that's in the center, you can then remove the sides and the top. Okay, and then we're going to sew around the outside, and I'm just going to put this woven tag just in there. Okay, that's what we have. You can go ahead and remove the chalk. And then I'm going to fold this in half, use my scissors, and we're going to trim out this box. Now you just want to be careful. You don't want to trim your overlay. You don't need to trim too much. Those duck bill scissors would be good for this too. But you want to trim enough away so that you cannot see this on your lining. And that's that. And then that's what we have from the front. You want your zipper pocket in a zipper pocket piece, your zipper tape, I'm going to put my zipper pull on. So my zipper's going off to the left. I'll put a clip on the end. I love these zipper pull. It says made with love and swear words. Yep. This is how I do these. This is not, I don't think, what's in the pattern, but this is how I do it. I'm going to base this on. Actually, I'm going to sew this on the top at 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I've got my zipper right sides up and my lining right sides up. Then I'm going to lift this top up, fold this bit down that we just sewed, and I'm going to top stitch that. And that'll hold it down. You can use double-sided tape, but I prefer to stitch mine. So I'm just sewing right along that edge. So, right sides up of my zipper tape, right sides up of my lining. And I'm going to sew that on at 1/4 inch. So what I'll do is I am going to come in and cut my zipper pocket in half. Then I can pull this up and top stitch this side down. And it actually works out better for me for this next step, having this as 2 separate parts. Okay, so I'm just going to top stitch this down, and then I'm just going to rethread my machine again, and I'll come back. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone ahead, I've top stitched that top seam down, added double-sided tape, and now I'm going to line this up in the middle of my overlay. And then when I'm happy that it's in the right spot, I'm going to take off the bottom tape. And then I can take off the top tape. And line that up where you want it. And then I'm just going to come in and top stitch around. And I'm going to bring my zipper pull in before I stitch up that side. And I can trim the excess zipper tape, burn those edges so it doesn't fray. difference, isn't it? Oh well, it is what it is. So next I want to come in and I want to sew down these sides, close off this zipper pocket, and I can close the whole thing given that it is a drop-in lining. Next time what I'll do is, instead of using one piece for my zipper lining, for my zipper pocket, I'll just cut two of the same and work with that rather than having too short of a zipper pocket. Just going to sew up the side of here. And then I will have to sew along the bottom and trim that down when I'm finished. And the reason I have to trim so much off, the bottom is because I cut it when it was already assembled, so that's on me. But it's still big enough for lip gloss. I very rarely use zipper pockets, if I'm honest. But it's big enough. So that is my zipper pocket. Fantastic. Now we can move on to the other side. I don't want to do it again, but I'm just trying to think of a way to extend this zipper pocket. Wondering if I could trim it down, fold under the seams, essentially top stitch it, because that is a really small pocket. I mean, really, I'm only going to get a couple more inches of room. I'll think about it. Okay, so I knew that I wasn't going to be happy with the size of that pocket. I couldn't just leave it like that. So what I've decided to do is I've taken another full-size zipper pocket piece and I've cut that in half. Then I've gone ahead and I've trimmed off the bottom seam that closed our zipper pocket. What I'm going to do is take one of my halves and I'm going to place it right sides together with the bottom of the lining that I've just cut off. And I'm going to sew that using 1/4 inch seam allowance. So this is what I have now. I'm going to come to the other side and I'm going to do the same steps. So right sides together using 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the two halves that we've just attached and I'm going to join those together to close the bottom of the pocket. 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew up the sides of my new zipper pocket. I'm going to do as I did in the step before, is fold in the sides of my lining. I'm making sure that my seam allowances are pointing up and I'm going to sew the sides closed using 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then I'm going to follow again using the same thing. So fold our sides in, sew up the side 1/4 inch. Okay, so now what I have is a full-size zipper pocket, which is how it was meant to be. Now, on the inside, there are going to be seams. However, you're not going to see those because it's black and they're finished. They're not raw, so that's all good. So now it's a perfect zipper pocket and no one will ever know. And it's our little secret, so don't tell anyone, okay? Shh. Next, you want to get your slip pocket and you want it right sides together. So, sew down the short edges using the seam allowance in the pattern. Then you can do the other side. Turn it right sides out. And you want to poke out your corners as best you can. I am going to go ahead and just baste this top bit together. Then you want your trim, your slip pocket trim. I'm going to add double-sided tape in the middle. You can add it onto your pocket, your slip pocket, if that's easier. And then you're going to line this up in the center. I did cut mine a little bit extra so I'd have more room. You want to place it just under the center line so that when you've got room for folding it over. You want to go ahead and fold that over and clip it into place. And if you fold it just below that center line, that gives you room to be able to fold it over and hopefully catch both sides when you top stitch. And here is also a good place to put a tag. So I'm going to, because I can. And I've got so many of them. And then I'm going to top stitch that. Now I'm going to do it 1/8 of an inch from the bottom edge, and then seeing how that looks, I may come up and do a second row. And that didn't really work out at all, did it? That's okay, because I can come back in. And sew it again. It must have slipped. Okay, that's fine. And I am going to do another row just at the top. Cut that down so it's even. And then if you want, when you stitch this in your bag, onto your zipper pocket, you can put a rivet on either side if you feel that you need to. Okay, that is our cute little slip pocket. Just going to draw my centers. And it tells you how far down you want to place this from the top lining. I think I'm going to place mine just a little bit lower than what it says in the pattern. So I'm going to do mine an inch from the top edge. That's not what it's suggested in the pattern. And I'm going to gently put my hand on there. Should I have changed to black thread? Most likely. Am I going to? Not right now. And I'm going to top stitch this on. And you could, if you wanted to, have a divided pocket. You could divide it up the center. It is only a small slip pocket though. But that's our cute slip pocket. I love it. And you can put a rivet on either side there if you feel inclined to do so. I don't think I need any rivets. That looks like it's pretty secure. Okay, next we're moving on to our divided pocket. Okay, so you want piece L, which is the divider pocket, and one of your divider pocket tops. And you're going to put these right sides together and sew that down. Seam allowance is given in the pattern. And we're going to open it up and we're going to top stitch. So we're going to top stitch this. My seam is pointing down. And I'm top stitching on my pocket. And you want to repeat the other end. So right sides together. Okay. It's top stitching, seams going towards the bottom. Okay, so you've got, this is what we've got after we've top stitched it all. You want to get your zipper and you want to do it, place it right sides down. And I'm just going to go ahead and base that in place. And then you want to get piece M and you want to do face down, so you've got a zipper sandwich, and you're going to sew that at the seam allowance given in the pattern. And you want to open it up, and we're going to top stitch our zipper down. Then you want to match up the bottom edge, your zipper tape right sides up against the top of your trim, face down. I'm going to base that on. Then you're going to match up your bottom edge of your other lining piece, piece M, and you're going to sew that on at the seam allowance in the pattern. And what we can do is we can go ahead and turn this right sides out. We can separate our zipper, and then we can top stitch this edge, just as we did on the opposite end. So go ahead and top stitch. So we're top stitching on the top band. So then this is what we should have. And then we can go ahead and put our zipper pull on. What you can do is completely take it off the end, so then it's completely closed, and then go ahead and put it back on. And then I can come in and trim my excess zipper off. So I went ahead and I just trimmed up the excess zipper tape. Now what we want to do is we want to come in and make sure that our panels are even, and we're going to base down the sides of our zipper, of our divider pocket. And you want to do that on both sides. So again, make sure that the bands are even on both sides. Next step is to get our zipper pocket. My zipper is closing to the left, and there's a measurement given in the pattern of how far down this needs to be placed. So go ahead and place that as per the pattern. I'm going to base that into place. Then you want to get your other lining, the one with the zipper, with the slip pocket. And you want to match these up. And we're going to sew this at the seam allowance given in the pattern. I'm going to put some vinyl behind my foot because there is quite a bit of bulk there with the zipper. Just want to come in and make sure that that's correct, and it is. I've caught it all. There's no gaps or anything. And then you want to pull this over to the other side and do the same thing. So you're going to line it up where it mentions in the pattern. I'm going to base that into place. I didn't read if we top stitched. I don't think we do, but I'm not going to anyway. And then fold this one across, and you want to make sure that your panels line up evenly because that is going to be the focal point for the inside. Match that up, and then we're going to sew that down at our full seam allowance. I'm so excited, we're nearly finished. correct as well. Now we're going to sew the bottom together. Now again, pay particular attention to your seam allowances because they change here again. Now I am going, rather than mark my seam allowance, I'm just going to do 2 rows of stitching on this. So I'm just going to do another row of stitching, which will be my full seam allowance. Then we can go ahead and box our corners. So you just want to pull your 2 sides together, like so. And I'm going to nest my seams. So what I've done is I've got one seam going to the left and the bottom seam going to the right. And whatever you do on one side, you need to do on the opposite side. And again, the seam allowance for this part changes. So, Twinkle Toes are home. Far out. Must be early if they're home. Probably best for me to go inside actually. And then on the opposite side, I'm going to have to finish this tomorrow, but make sure that they're in opposite, and clip that and sew the seam allowance given, and just remember that it's changed from the one we just did. Okay, that's our lining. Okay, for some reason I don't have my lines marked on these pieces, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark my lines on this piece so those lines are okay. I'm going to open these, and then we're going to fold all of this down. So what I will do is I'll go ahead and I'll add a line of double-sided tape just on top of this line that I've drawn. And you want to flatten out these seams. This double-sided tape that I'm using is from Spotlight, this one. And we're going to use a whole lot of clips. So I'm just going to do a little bit at a time. And I'm just folding down the top to match that line that I drew just before. And then I'm going to clip it. You could glue it instead of using double-sided tape. I'm confident that the tape will be okay. And you just want to go around the whole lot. And then I'll probably do the same for the exterior as well, and clip all of that down, but we'll do this one first. This double-sided tape's doing a pretty good job. This will be the third ever bag that I've made with a drop-in lining. The last one I did was the Bella bucket bag, and I was so happy with how the top stitching on that turned out. Let's hope this one's the same. Okay, so that's our lining all done. Next, you want to go ahead and I'm going to do the same on the exterior. So the top of this just gets folded down to the top of your interfacing. So I'll add the double-sided tape to that. Okay, so I'm just going to run the tape along the top of my interfacing. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. So I'm just going to fold all of this down. So that it sits just on top of the interfacing. And I'm going to clip that and I'll come back when it's all done. Okay, I'm back. So everything has been sitting. I clipped everything, and what I did was I actually added some glue between the layers just to make sure that it's secure and it's going to stay when I top stitch. I didn't add a lot of glue, and I didn't add it right at the very top. I added it down further so that the glue wouldn't push out to the top. So now we've got a top stitch. I think it's going to be best for me to do it this way. You're probably not going to be able to see it. I'll try and get in as close as I can. This would be a lot easier if you had a cylinder arm to do this final top stitch, but here we go. I'm just going to go really slow. Make sure that your flap is out of the way because you do not want to top stitch through that. And I'm just going to go as slow as I can because this is the final stitch. And I'm just pushing everything out of the way. So the glue that I used is helping these layers stay together. And done. Did you see that? They're like left half of it behind. Oh, I missed it just there, but I can come in. That's okay because it's going to be where the flap is. I'm happy with that. So there's just a little bit here that I went off, just a tiny bit. So I'm just going to re-clip it, and like I said, I can come back in, and this is under where the flap is, so that's fine. I mean, it would be easier just to top stitch this bit. I might try and do it in this way. And because that's the same colour thread, you're not even going to see it. Oh my goodness. And last step is to put the handle and the flap on, lock I should say. So I've just marked my centers of my flap right there. Now I need the other bit of my lock. So that's the center of my lock right there. So I'm just going to match it up. Now this is quite thick, so I may need to come in and squish it. And you want this to be as flush as possible. So what I'm going to do is get my pliers, and I'm going to squish this as much as I can. And slide the lock on before it has a chance to spring back yet. That's better. I just want to make sure that that's in the center. And I'm really pushing that on. And that's completely on there now. Okay, so that is now completely in the center. So I can make sure yes. Okay, now I want to grab my stiletto and I'm going to pre-punch these holes. I'm going to have to take some screws from some zipper ends because when I purchased this block of Temu, I didn't get the screws that came with it for some reason, and I didn't get the washer, so I've had to use what I have here. Hopefully they will fit in here, otherwise I'll have to use ones that don't match. Let's see how we go with that. Oh, perfect. Okay, and I want to make sure that they're flush. Oh, there we go. Done. So then, this is secure, not going anywhere. And we can close up this amazing bag. Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh my. Wow. And I haven't even got the handle on yet. And as this sits, it will form its shape. Oh my goodness, I love it. This is my bag. Oh, this may have, okay, I'll leave it for now, but oh, I literally have tears. I don't think I've ever had tears over a bag. Okay, let's put the handle on. So, through the top. Again, I'm just pushing down the vinyl around that post so that I can see what I'm doing. Screw in the back. And I felt that click. That is a little bit fancy. I can't believe I made that. Like, I know people say that. They're like, I made that. But no, I actually made that. And it's all mine. Okay, so this is going to be fine for a crossbody strap. Oh, wow. Wow. I need to try it on. And there we have it, the Alicia Bag by Khembuzz. I literally have no words. I'm absolutely speechless. This is the most beautiful bag I think I've ever made. It's everything that I'd want in a handbag. And it's perfect. And so on the back I have my back zipper pocket. I mean, this handle with these connectors have just turned out perfect. And then we have, so this is how it sits at the side. And as I said, as it sits, it will get more, it'll hold its shape more. But this is our hidden strap connectors. And then no one will ever know about this if I didn't point it out. And then we open it up and we have our inside and everything I love in a bag. It's pink and black, and I've got my slip pocket right there, which is a great size. It is a very nice size bag. We've got our divided zipper pocket here, and then my zipper pocket on the back, which is a lovely size now. I literally have no words. I'm absolutely speechless. This what an amazing pattern. I'm so very thankful that I got permission from the designer to film a video for you guys, and hopefully you'll be able to make it. Oh, and the bag feet, the purse feet and the base of the bag, can't forget that. I'm going to have to get acrylic templates for this bag because it is amazing. Wow, okay. I need to go. I'm just going to go and sit and just gush over this bag. But I'm so happy with the changes that I made with the handle. And I'm glad that I used the hardware that I had rather than waiting. I am certainly going to be making more of these. I'm probably going to be making one in pink, in purple, in the purple croc vinyl that I got. And I'm just going to order some more straps and these closures. But yeah. All right. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. and I'll try and get the video uploaded as soon as I can. And thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day. Bye.
Shooting me with words, but I won't let them bruise. Even though it hurts, I won't show it to you. 'Cause it will ricochet, I won't let it bite. I will look at you and tell you that I'm alright. Like a ricochet, it will come back to you. 'Cause I don't care about you anymore. So you can't hurt me like you did before. Let me tell you.